Welcome to the Karen Kenney Show.
Hey, you guys, welcome to the Karen Kenney Show. I was gonna say I'm super duper excited to be here, but that would kind of be like liar, liar, pants on fire. I would be a little bit of a lying pants if I said that. But let me put it into some context because that is what this whole episode is about. All right, you probably saw the title. What am I going to call this thing? Probably something like even when you don't feel like it, even if you don't feel like it. And let's just dive right into this. So this morning I woke up. And normally I wake up, and especially if I've had a good night's sleep, I kind of get out of bed and I've already got some like positive mojo, some good energy rolling, right? I tend to be able to place my mind where I want to put it in terms of like leaning a little bit more towards happiness or, whatever. So I don't roll out of bed cranky and whatever, and I don't drink coffee or any of that stuff. So I am just kind of on my own kind of natural high that that kind of like jump starts my morning. But this morning I could just tell there was a little bit of a lingering like I don't know what to call it, like stickiness or tackiness or suppression or whatever. And I was just a little bit, I told myself in my brain, like right now you got to decide. Talk to myself all the time, like right now you not need to make a decision about what kind of day you're about to have. Because I could see myself if I really wanted to linger in my meh. Everything's just like meh. If I wanted to stay there, I could have. And so I got up, talked to my sweetie for a little bit, and I just said to him, look, we need to go downstairs right now and work out. I said, because I don't feel like it. I am not in the mood right now. And meaning, like, not that I was cranky, but I just was like, I have no desire to go pick up heavy things and put them down. So I said to him, I need to do it right now. So I went in the bedroom and I changed my clothes, put on my workout clothes, and went down to the basement. And we did. We picked up heavy things and put them down, right? And so I'm going to tell you two little stories and then I'm going to make my point. So I did it. I got it done. And then once that was done, I was like, oh, I got to record a podcast today. And I said, I kind of don't feel like it. Come on, you can relate. Devil many hands if you can relate when you're just feeling a little bit whiny, a little bit like, I don't feel like it. You guys think about it, guys. This is like episode 363 for 363 weeks. Except for that one time when I took like a little smidge of time off to see what that would be like. You know me, I got to experiment with everything. I mean, like every week practically for 363 weeks, I have been doing this. And so there are just days when you have more, whether it's energy or ideas or inspiration, a little bit of mojo, a little bit of, movement in your body and in your brain. And you're like, yes, let's do this. I'm so jazzed. And today, man, I just really didn't kind of feel like it. But I said to my sweetie, I came upstairs. No inspiration really struck. And I always keep like I have stuff written down about ideas, but I'm not going to just talk about things to talk about things. I want to talk about something because it matters to me or it's got me thinking in a new way or whatever, right? So I was like, okay, I'm going to go back downstairs. So I went back downstairs. I made some oatmeal. And I said to him, you know what? And I'm standing at the stove, and this is what it's like. I kind of asked my spiritual team. I asked, the writing gods. I asked the muse. I just ask any divine helper that I can, like help me because I am stuck. And I figured if worse came to worse, I would just go out and go for a walk because when you walk, it totally helps your brain with problem solving, creativity, ideas, all of that. For a lot of people, maybe not everybody, but for me, for sure. So I go downstairs, and as I'm stirring my oatmeal, and I say to him, I just don't feel like it. And then all of a sudden, my brain was like, ding, 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 ding. And I was like, that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about showing up even when you don't feel like it. So let's go back to the first example, the workout. Okay. That was simply going to benefit me working out. So this was a chance for me to keep my word to myself, which is, hey, I strength train 3 days a week, right? And we're not skipping. I have no good reason to skip. I'm not sick. I'm not, like maimed. I'm not injured. I have all the capacity to be able to get my ass downstairs and pick up those dumbbells. You know what I mean? Like squat it out, row it out, press it out, right? Curl it out, tricep dip it out, whatever I'm doing. It's like I had everything I needed. What I didn't have was the right fucking attitude. I was just a little bit like whiny, right? I was like, I don't feel like doing it. But here's the thing. We all know what a slippery slope it can be when you start to cut yourself a little too much slack. So let me say this before too many people or anybody gets like their panties in a bunch. I understand that there are going to be times in life when you really have to listen to a part of you if it's actually exhausted, if rest is what's really actually called for. I'm not talking about, again, bypassing yourself, jumping over like your physical needs, whatever. There are just going to be times when you do not have anything in the tank to give. I'm not talking about that. This is more just like a preference, a mood, an attitude. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, but here's the thing. It's such a slippery slope because if I let myself create an excuse, right? If my mind left unattended, it can come up with any kind of excuse. I bet yours can too, right? And I have to resist the temptation of my whiny ass little brain sometimes to be like, oh, you don't feel like it. And then you start hearing words in your head like deserve. Well, you deserve to take a break. You've been working hard or you've been da 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 da, right? Quote unquote self care, right? Resist there's a line in A Course in Miracles that says, resist the temptation to perceive yourself as unfairly treated, right? And so I think of this sometimes like I got to resist the temptation to perceive myself as somebody who's like, I don't feel like it. It's like, nope, that is not our identity. We are a person that shows up and we're going to show up for ourselves. We are not going to let these lame ass excuses get in the way and keep you from keeping your word to yourself because self integrity is so important. Especially if you're a person who has in the past really just always gone, I shouldn't say always, often, right? Anybody here who, through their own survival, what's the word I want to call strategies, your own survival instincts, your own survival, like things that you did because of your childhood or how you grew up or your trauma or whatever, right? Whether you became a people pleaser, whether you became like, I'm going to do everything for everybody else but myself. You put yourself last and then you got kind of pissy about it and you became a martyr and you were cranky because you're always going above and beyond for everybody else and then nobody does it for you, whatever. If you're the kind of person who used to make keeping your word to yourself like it was the last thing because you always made yourself available to everybody else, didn't have really good boundaries, da 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 da. There is something so important in creating like these things that sometimes get talked about these days as if they're a negative thing. But to me, discipline, like so many people are like, too much discipline, we need more softness. I'm like, yes, but discipline, to me, discipline is often discipline that is being enforced on you from an external source, but like self-discipline, holding yourself accountable to your own word and to what you say matters and to what you say that you want to do, like that to me is a very powerful thing. So to be able to build some discipline, to be able to build self-trust, to be able to get some momentum going, right? Consistency and habit building and like keeping your word to yourself, knowing that you can trust yourself is such a big thing. I know I already said that. And then building an identity of the kind of person who doesn't make excuses, the kind of person that keeps their word, the kind of person that shows up. So, me going downstairs into the basement, it might seem like a tiny little thing, but keeping my word to myself and doing the work even when I didn't feel like it is not only going to serve me in that moment of lifting weights, because I have never, I'm trying to trace my mind, as far as I can remember in this moment, I have never, unless I got hurt or something, like, and you go, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But just in terms of like normal, like going to the gym or going out for a run or going out for a walk or going to yoga class or moving my body or whatever, right? I've never regretted doing it. It's just like kind of busting through that little bit of resistance and getting to the other side of the thing because I know I'm going to feel better after I did it. I know I'm going to be happy that I did it once I've done it. But it's in that beginning, like bumping up against that resistance. And maybe I'll do a whole thing about resistance at some point. But keeping my word to myself, even though I wasn't in the mood, even though I was feeling whiny, even I was feeling a little tired, it's like, man, it was so important for me to do that. Because I'll tell you this, the muscle that I'm building in that moment of keeping my word to myself is also the muscle that I'm going to need, that inner muscle that I'm going to need when it comes down to sitting down at my desk and writing my book and finishing this first draft, right? It's like there's going to be so much resistance. And we know all about this. Oh, I moved my books, but like Stephen Pressfield talks about this, right? Stephen Pressfield has written so many fantastic books. The War of Art, put your ass where your heart is. Put your ass where your heart wants to be. I mean, he's written Do the Work, like Going Pro. Like he's written so many great books. They're all behind me in the bookshelf. About how brutal and vicious and relentless resistance can be. So anytime I can, and I don't like to say that thing like slay dragons because I love dragons, like mother of dragons, love them. But this idea of slaying that thing in you, whether you call it, I call it, it's almost like a whininess or a weakness, right? That like will come up that like, oh, I don't feel like it. Anytime I can overcome that sucker, it is like a win for me because I know whether it's with working out, going for a walk, doing the hard thing, doing the thing you don't feel like. That could be anything from like cleaning your house to doing your laundry to paying your bills to getting off your ass to showing up at the thing, even though you said you well, like you don't feel like it now, but you gave your word, blah, blah. That is such a powerful thing because it will help you across so many areas of your life. So when I keep my word to myself in the gym, in the basement, I keep my word to myself more in so many other ways, including my creative life. So that's me with me. Then there are going to be times when, like with this podcast, as I started as this example, I didn't really feel like hitting record today. I was like not really in the mood. There are just times because I am, even though maybe somebody might call me an ambivert, but really I'm an introvert. I like alone time. I like being by myself. And there are just some times when I'm a little bit more hermity than others, where I'm really just happy, like putting on my comfy clothes and like after working out or whatever, I just like hunkering down. And I don't want to have to be forward facing. I don't want to have to be communicating outward. There are just some times when I just prefer to be more insular, more inside myself. And today was just one of those days. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not like really feeling the desire to be super communicative. But I was like, look, I have given my word, right? Every Thursday in the morning, I know at least some of you are expecting that new episode to roll out. And I have kind of made this commitment until I no longer do a show, whenever that might be. I don't know. But right now, it's like the agreement, the unspoken agreement is I'm going to show up each week and it's something you can count on that I'm going to roll out an episode. And so for me, showing up for others also means a lot. Like I think about it. Imagine if I just decided like, oh yeah, I don't want to show up. I don't want to show up for my yoga class tonight, the one that I'm teaching with people, all the people coming right, to take class. And I was just like, meh, I just didn't feel like it. You know what I mean? It's like, imagine if you're a mother or a parent or a partner or you own a business, like whatever it is. Like you don't really have the luxury of just being like, meh, didn't feel like feeding you today. Didn't feel like being there for you today. Didn't feel like picking you up from school. Didn't feel like whatever. It's like, especially when you're self-employed. And that's the thing, right? When you're self-employed, you don't really have like, you have a little more wiggle room than when, of course, you have to be at somebody else's business. But you have to be self-motivating. You have to be like, okay, I'm going to get my ass in gear and get the shit done that I said I was going to get done. I'm not going to be able to sit back here and just like float, right? Sit back here eating bonbons and just putting my feet up and relaxing, right? So we have to practice keeping our word to ourselves. We have to practice keeping our words to others. We have to practice. And through this repetition, we start to get stronger. This is how we build any muscle. And it's the same thing with like a daily spiritual practice, right? A meditation practice, whatever people are doing. It's like it can be so easy to be like, oh, I'm tired. I don't feel like it. I'm feeling run down, or I'm not in the mood, or I have a cold, or blah, 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 blah. And I'm sometimes I feel like it's not like showing up when you don't feel like it. Sometimes I'm like, you should show up when you don't feel like it, like especially when you don't feel like it, so that we can kind of overcome that. When you just feel like lethargic and you just feel like unmotivated and uninspired and everything just feels like extra hard. And the reality of it is we're like, we have this, we tell ourselves this story, right? It's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be, there's an uncertain outcome. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. It's uncomfortable. You can just see, if you can see my face, I'm making like all these whiny, all these kind of like whiny faces, like, meh, like, meh, I just don't want to, right? And we tell ourselves these stories. And the thing is, like, as I said earlier, it's like, do you remember like Chutes and Ladders? Do you remember that game? And you would be like hop, 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 like forward momentum. And then all of a sudden you would get a ladder. I mean, you would get a chute, and like you would slide down like all this thing. And that was fun. That was fun on that game. It's not fun in real life when you start to create a slippery slope, because once you like skip one workout, it's so much easier to do it the next day. I've seen people do this with cheating. I've seen people do this with gambling. I've seen people doing this with spending money. Or I just, you see it with drinking. You see it in addiction, like any kind of tendencies. It's like, oh, it was just one time. And then it was like, and that one time turned into two times, turned into three times. And then it's like, oh, we are slowly destroying whatever this dream that you had, or this sobriety that you had, or this whatever, right? So we have to be like really vigilant. You got to be vigilant about the quality of your thoughts, the quality of your words, the quality of your actions. Like you got to keep your, and I'm doing like that eye thing where I point at my own eyes. Now I'm pointing at you. You have got to watch yourself like a hawk. You have got to notice when you're like, oh, here I am about to slide down that slippery slope. I'm about to make an excuse, right? I'm about to like give myself a pass. And again, I'm not saying that there aren't maybe appropriate times when something really important or big, right, is pulling you out of your routine or whatever. But man, as soon as you can get yourself back on track, as soon as you can do it, and whether you have to write yourself a commitment letter to yourself, like tomorrow I'm going to set it up, or let's say you skip the gym one day, that night, that very night, right, of the day you skipped, you better set your shit out. You better put your clothes, your sneakers, your workout gear, prepare yourself to get back on track the next day, because it's so easy. You ever see, like, I think about like when, if you're like, might be a weird example, but I think about this. It's like gut flora, right? Like the gut flora in your intestines, your belly, all that stuff. It's like you give it like a little bit of sugar, right? I think about like this is how like, yeast situations happen. You feed it a little, give it a little sugar one time, not that big of a deal. But you keep feeding that beast, and that thing, that bloom of bacteria just is like party, right? It's just like having a wicked good time. It's like, because you keep giving it the thing that actually you're making the possibility of you not keeping your word to yourself alive and intact. So here's the thing. There are going to be days. Why should you give a shit about this? Because there's going to be moments in days and times when you are just not going to be in the mood, and you're not going to feel like it. And you're going to have such a great temptation, right? And here I am as like a Catholic kid, and I always hear in my head, lead us not into temptation. What's often leading us into temptation is our own thinking, and our thinking is like thoughts. I always say thoughts become words, thoughts become actions, thoughts become over time. If you keep in that thought loop, they start to become your behavior, your patterns, your character, your identity. And I don't like to feed the little gremlin. that is like, that will just grow stronger, right? We'll get more power. We'll keep like on a video game, it goes ding and it grabs the rock, ding, it grabs the jewel, ding, it like gets the weapon, right? I'm like, I do not want to feed that little monster that gets stronger and keeps me from keeping my word to myself, right? I want to create and stay with the identity of I'm a person that keeps my word, first and foremost to me and then to others. So you got to know how you self-sabotage. You got to know, like, keep an eye on, notice. Well, it's often after I do think or feel X, Y, and Z that I have these tendencies to not want to, whatever. Sometimes you guys, seriously, it's shit that you're eating. You're eating too much sugar, you're drinking too much caffeine, and then you hit that slump, and then all your energy to like, like, and again, so I'll just use this as an example because I teach yoga. I teach at 6 o'clock at night, right? That's when most people are like, I'm going home, like I'm going home from work. So the people who are successful at showing up to class consistently, right? They usually like bring their yoga clothes. They keep their yoga mat. And so they set themselves up so that they're like, there's no excuse. Like, oh, I forgot my clothes, right? Oh, I forgot my yoga mat. They set themselves up for success. And these are the things that we have to do. We have to notice around this time of day is when I start to get whiny. Oh, it's when I don't get enough sleep that I don't show up the next day prepared to blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's when I hang out with this group of people, I feel worse afterwards. And then I don't want to go do that thing that's good for me. Whatever it is. Really, what I'm saying is you got to be paying attention to your life. You got to be paying attention to yourself, and you got to be paying attention to the choices that you're making that are either going to support the outcomes that you think you want to have, which is I want to be strong, I want to stay healthy, I want to stay fit and mobile, right? Mobile, as I sometimes say, right? So I got to do my workouts, I got to do my my stretching, my yoga, whatever you're going to do, right? And also keeping your word to others. There's something about when somebody breaks their word to you, and I understand that life happens. I understand that whether it's an act of God, an act of nature, something comes up. I totally get it. But we also know if we took a look around it, whether it's your family or your friends or your coworkers or whatever, there's always somebody that people go, yeah, they're a flake. They're a flake. They always make plans and they never show up, or they always cancel, or they always blah blah blah. There's always a reason. And what becomes is that person becomes a person who cannot be relied upon, and they're not responsible. And I was literally talking to somebody, was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. And we were talking about a particular kind of business. It doesn't matter who or what. And they said, this person is so talented. They are so good, but I would never recommend them. And I was like, why not? And they're like, they are not consistent. They are not reliable. I don't know who's going to show up, how they're going to show up, if they're going to show up. And I was like, it's such a shame, man. It's such a shame that that is the reputation that follows you. But we can build a reputation with ourselves too. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Us talking about us, that inner critic. Oh, yeah, she's not going to do it. She's not reliable. She always does this, da da da. She never does that. So look. The next time you bump up against, I'm not in the mood, you're tired, you're feeling whiny, you got to think about how when we practice moving through that resistance, when we practice moving through the thoughts of, oh, it's going to be challenging, it's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be hard, I'm not feeling like it, da 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 da. When we start to focus on, hey, I'm building discipline, self-discipline, I'm building self-trust, I'm building some forward momentum. I'm building an identity as a person who takes action and keeps their word. You practice and you practice and you practice and you build that repetition. You resist the temptation. You resist also the temptation to distract yourself with nonsense like your phone and scrolling and social media and shit that doesn't really matter. The drama, getting up in everybody else's business. It's like, no, man, you got this one life to live. Like, let's live it. Let's fully show up. Let's do the damn thing that we said we were going to do. And watch your mind, because it's going to come up with 1,000 good reasons, 1,000 good excuses as to let yourself off the hook. So this is just like a little love letter. like from my heart to yours, because I had to push through it today in two different areas. And I'm so glad I did it, right? Like here I am at the end and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I sat down and did it. I'm so glad I stopped being so whiny and I showed up to spend some time with you today. So thank you for listening and thank you for being here. And maybe you can relate to what I'm talking about. I hope this landed for you in some way, right? My goal, as I always say, is always to either enlighten or elevate or educate, create an emotional connection to edify, to edify my listeners. So I hope that this landed in some way for you. And I'll just stop there because I could just like keep going. But I think I said what I needed to say. So maybe you find yourself in a period of your life or time when you're at a job and you're like, I don't feel like it. It can be so easy to just half-ass things and start to show up a little late and not giving it your all. And I'm telling you, don't represent yourself the way that you want to be. Even if you're on your way out the door, even if you know that this good job is not going to be, show up, do your job, keep your word, like do the things that are required of you, even when you don't feel like it. Do it for self-respect too, right? Self-integrity, self-respect, it will go a really long way. And I get it. Sometimes we don't feel inspired, but this is when we have to buckle up and buckle down and get the shit done, right? And I'm telling you, it's going to build something inside of you that you're going to start to learn that you can trust yourself and that you have resources and that you can do hard things and that you can handle it. And it's a very, very, very powerful thing. Okay. Thanks for being here with me. I appreciate you. I love you guys, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you showed up. If you can still hear my voice and listen, maybe you didn't feel like it. Maybe you were like, man, maybe you're listening to me right now on a walk that you didn't want to go on. And if so, thank you for being here. Way to go, you. Okay, so wherever you go, may you leave yourself and the animals and the people and the places and the planet better than how you found them. Wherever you go, may you leave your being there. Wherever you go, may your being there, right? Your love, your presence, your attitude, your energy, may it be a blessing. Bye.